What would you do if an earthquake happened while you are traveling in Japan? Do you know what actions you should take? What will happen around you? To protect yourself, your partner, and your family, you need to understand earthquakes in Japan. Hi, I'm Naoki from Howzit, Japan. I'm a native Japanese who's lived in Tokyo my whole life. First of all, this video is not meant to scare you. In this video, I put together what travelers to Japan should know about earthquakes based on what we've been told and what we've experienced. I've summarized what you should do if an earthquake happens and my own earthquake experience, so please watch until the end. Warning: this video contains sensitive disaster footage that may be distressing for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. First, to understand earthquakes simply, you need to know how they work correctly. If you don't understand what's happening, your fear will only increase. Give me 30 seconds, I'll explain it super simply in 30 seconds, so please understand this well. An earthquake is a phenomenon where the ground shakes due to a shift in underground rock. Simply put, it's a shaking that happens when the ground suddenly shifts, and that impact spreads like a wave. Big earthquakes happen about only every 10 years, but small earthquakes occur somewhere in Japan on a daily basis. However, many are weak shakes, and disaster level earthquakes rarely happen. That's the reality. So why does Japan have so many earthquakes? The Earth's surface is covered with about a dozen rock plates called tectonic plates, and Japan is located at the boundary of these plates. It's a particularly special region in the world where 4 plates meet. Next, I want you to understand what dangers there are when an earthquake happens. The damage caused by earthquakes is broadly divided into damage from shaking and damage from tsunamis. The shaking of the earthquake itself is scary, but what actually put us in danger are various secondary damages caused by the shaking. First, you need to watch out for falling furniture and glass. During strong shaking, furniture can fall over and things on shelves can come down. Injuries from this are very common. In major earthquakes, data shows that 30 to 50% of injuries were caused by falling furniture. Buildings constructed after 1981 under new earthquake-resistant standards have structures that don't easily collapse even in major earthquakes, and this includes high-rise buildings designed to withstand shaking. So unless it's a very old wooden buildings or building that hasn't been earthquake reinforced, and you getting trapped under it is low. In fact, rushing outside the building in a panic can sometimes be more dangerous. When a major earthquake happens near the coast, another thing to watch out for is tsunamis. If the earthquake's source is under the ocean, the earthquake's shaking lifts up the seawater, creating a tsunami, a massive wave that travels at high speed and can hit coastal areas. Tsunamis can arrive anywhere from a few minutes to several tens of minutes after the earthquake, and their height can range from several meters to sometimes over 10 meters. In the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake, tsunamis over 50 meters high caused tremendous damage. Tsunamis can reach areas far from where the earthquake happened, and after the first wave, even larger second or third wave can come. Now let me explain the most important thing. What should you do if an earthquake actually happened while you are traveling? In this video, I'll explain 3 scenarios: indoors, outdoors, and on trains. First, indoors. This is the most likely situation. In Japan, the rule is first secure your safety when an earthquake comes. When you feel strong shaking, crouch down right there. Get under a desk or table and protect your head and body. If there's no desk nearby, cover your head and neck with your arms or a cushion, and move to a wall area with fewer falling objects. Window glass can break and scatter, and furniture and appliances can fall over. Especially don't go near TVs, lights, covers, or microwaves. If you move during shaking, you'll risk falling or being hit by falling objects. Don't rush outside the building. Wait in a safe place until the shaking completely stops. Even if you are cooking, don't force yourself to approach the fire source during the shaking. After the shaking stops, calmly check and extinguish gas or fire. Doors and windows can become warped from shaking and won't open. If you can, open doors and windows slightly before and after the shaking stops to secure an escape route. That gives you peace of mind. If you are near the coast, evacuate quickly to high ground or a high place once the shaking stops. It's important to never let your guard down until the tsunami danger has passed. Next, let's consider the situation when you are traveling outside. If you experience an earthquake in the city, the top priority is to protect yourself from falling objects from above. In areas with buildings, glass signs and exterior wall tiles can fall. So move away from buildings to an open area and protect your head with both hands or your back. The middle of road, parks, and the large parking lots are relatively safe. If there is one nearby, evacuate to such a place within reason. When people around you panic, collision accidents become more likely. Don't run. Move calmly while watching your surroundings carefully. Near mountains or cliffs, there is a danger of falling rocks or landslides. It's important to move as far away from cliffs as possible. If you are outside near the coast and feel strong shaking, assume a tsunami and start evacuating to high ground right away. Don't wait for warning. Early action saves lives. Once the shaking stops, judge whether that location is safe. Japan has designed evacuation sites, so check information boards or map apps to find nearby evacuation sites and act accordingly. Finally, let's talk about situations when you are traveling. Earthquakes can happen when you are on a train, so let me briefly explain what to do. Japan's major railways automatically apply brakes when they detect an earthquake, and trains make emergency stops. If you sense something unusual, first act calmly, stay calm, and act without panicking. Inside the train, hold firmly onto straps or handrails. On the platform, stand near the pillars or walls. Be careful not to fall from the shaking or fall onto the tracks. Even if the train stops, don't open doors yourself and get down onto the tracks. There are dangers of secondary damage like electrocution or contact with trains. In station areas and on platforms, you need to watch out for falling objects like signs, lights, and ceiling materials. Your footing also becomes unstable, so be conscious not to stumble toward the trackside. Always follow announcements inside the train and instructions from station staff or train crew. Not acting hastily until operations resume leads to safety. Including subways, power outage after earthquakes can make things dark. Emergency lights will turn on, so stay calm and wait for information about the situation. That's what you should do when an earthquake happens. If you wanna check this again, save this video and watch this part again. March 11, 2011. I actually experienced that Great East Japan earthquake. On March 11, 2011, a massive earthquake with magnitude 9.0, the largest in Japan's recorded history, occurred. I was still in elementary school at that time, playing at a friend's house. I was living in Tokyo. Suddenly, strong shaking came. It was shaking I've never experienced before. The biggest shaking of my life. I still clearly remember that feeling. Fortunately, no large tsunami came to Tokyo, so there was no direct damage from tsunamis. But when I got home, shelves that have never fallen before had fallen over, and everything that was on the desk fallen to the floor. Even in Tokyo, which wasn't one of the main disaster areas, the streets and inside homes were clearly an unusual situation. As elementary school students, honestly I was very surprised. I remember being quite scared too. But because in Japan we receive education about earthquake from a young age, I didn't panic and was able to act calmly. Witnessing a major disaster like C11 might make you anxious about traveling to Japan, but you don't need to worry excessively. It's true that Japan is a country with many earthquakes, but because of that, it has some of the world's most advanced disaster prevention measures. As I mentioned earlier, Japanese buildings have thorough earthquake-resistant and vibration control structures, and they rarely collapse. Also, Japanese people do evacuation drills repeatedly starting in elementary school, and earthquake preparedness is ingrained in society as a whole. Finally, there are only two things you can do when traveling to Japan. One is to understand earthquake correctly. By watching this video like you are now, you have the minimum knowledge about earthquakes. You become anxious about you don't know. If you understand the mechanism and countermeasures, you don't need to be necessarily afraid. Also, in Japan, an emergency earthquake warning flows through smartphones and TVs. This is a system that issues warnings to distant areas as quickly as possible, several seconds to several tens of seconds after a large earthquake occurs near the epicenter. If you hear this sound while you are staying in Japan, immediately take safety action. Strong shaking may arrive in a few seconds to 10 plus seconds. The other thing is to know evacuation site and information sources where you can get correct information. Even as a traveler, knowing evacuation sites and information sources in advance is effective. The free app Safety Tips, supervised by the Japan Tourism Agency, can send push notifications for earthquakes, tsunamis, and other warnings in 15 languages including English. Also, the National Evacuation Site Guide app lets you check nearby evacuation sites and evacuable parks and schools on a map based on your correct location. It has data for about 120,000 evacuation sites, can be used offline, and supports English, Chinese, and Korean. That's why you need to know if an earthquake happened during your stay in Japan. In Japan, we can reduce the fear of earthquakes to zero. But by understanding them correctly and prepare properly, there is no need to be excessively afraid. Finally, we at Howzit Japan offer completely customized private tours. If you don't want to waste your precious Japan trip and want to go to shops that only locals know about, please check out our website. Let's enjoy Japan together. If you found this even a little bit helpful, give it a like and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video. No, see you in Japan. Bye. Howzit.